If you drove for work in 2025 and you're about to file, there's a number you need to know before you pick how to deduct your vehicle. 70 cents. That's the IRS standard mileage rate for business miles driven in 2025, up from 67 cents the year before. And it's the single biggest lever most freelancers leave on the table because they pick the wrong method on autopilot. The reason I'm flagging this now, before tax season really kicks in, is that the choice you make on your very first return with a given vehicle quietly locks you into rules for the entire life of that car. Most freelancers don't know that. And once we walk through the math, you're going to see why the obvious answer, track everything, deduct everything, is wrong more often than it's right. So let's actually do the math, because this is one of those decisions where vibes will cost you real money. The IRS gives you two ways to deduct a vehicle you use for your freelance work. The standard mileage method, where you multiply your business miles by a flat rate the IRS publishes every year. Or the actual expense method, where you total up gas, insurance, repairs, registration, depreciation, lease payments, tires, the works, and then deduct the business use percentage of all of it. Same car, same year, two completely different deductions. And the IRS, per Revenue Procedure 2019-46, lets you pick, with one catch I'll get to in a minute that traps people every single year. The 2025 rate, the one you're filing on right now, is 70 cents per business mile, according to IRS Notice 2025-5. For context, it was 67 cents in 2024 and 65.5 cents in 2023. The IRS hasn't released the 2026 rate yet. They typically announce it in mid-December. But based on the pattern and current fuel and depreciation costs, I'd plan around something in the 70 to 72 cent range for miles you drive in 2026. Don't quote me on the exact figure. Do plan your bookkeeping around it being close. Here's where most freelancers go wrong. They hear actual expenses and assume that since they spent real money on a real car, actual has to be bigger. It usually isn't. Let me show you why with a real example. Say you're a rideshare driver or a delivery freelancer, and you drove 20,000 business miles in 2025 in a used Toyota Corolla you paid 18 grand for. Standard mileage on 20,000 miles at 70 cents is $14,000. Flat? Done. Now let's price out actual. Gas maybe $3,200 at current prices. Insurance, say $1,800. Maintenance and tires, $900. Registration, $200. Depreciation under the IRS tables, roughly $3,000. $200 in year one for a vehicle in that price range using the standard MACRS schedule. That adds up to about $9,300 of total vehicle cost. But, and this is the part people miss, you can only deduct the business use percentage. If 80% of your miles were business, you get 80% of $9,300. That's $7,440. Standard mileage gave you $14,000. Actual gave you $7,440. Standard mileage just won by more than $6 grand on the exact same car. Now flip the scenario. You're a wedding photographer. You bought a $55,000 SUV because you haul gear and you only drove 6,000 business miles. Standard mileage gives you 6,000 times 70 cents, $4,200. Actual expenses on a $55,000 vehicle, between depreciation, higher insurance, premium gas, and bigger repair bills, could easily run $12,000 a year. At say 60% business use, that's $7,200 in deductions. Actual just won by 3 grand. See the pattern? High miles, cheap car, standard mileage wins usually by a lot. Low miles, expensive car, actual usually wins. The break-even isn't a single magic number because it depends on your specific vehicle's depreciation, your insurance, and your mix of business versus personal driving. But as a rule of thumb, I've watched hold up across a lot of freelancer returns. Under about 10,000 business miles in an expensive vehicle, run the actual numbers. Over 15,000 business miles in anything reasonably priced, standard mileage almost always wins. Now here's the trap I mentioned earlier, and this is the one that costs people thousands without them realizing it. The IRS rule under Revenue Procedure 2019-46 says if you want the option to ever use standard mileage on a vehicle, you have to use standard mileage in the first year you place that vehicle in service for business. If you use actual expenses in year one, specifically if you take any accelerated depreciation, Section 179 or bonus depreciation, you are locked into actual expenses for the entire life of that vehicle. You cannot switch back, ever, for that car. The reverse, going from standard mileage to actual in a later year, is allowed, but with a catch. Your depreciation has to be calculated using straight line, not accelerated, for the remaining useful life, which usually makes the switch less attractive than it sounds. Honestly, I think most accountants get this backwards for freelancers. They see a new car, they see Section 179, they see bonus depreciation, and they go for the big year one write-off because it looks impressive on the return. But for a freelancer who's going to keep that car for 6 or 7 years and rack up miles, locking out standard mileage permanently can quietly cost more than the upfront deduction saves. My default move on a new vehicle, a freelancer plans to keep more than 3 years. Start with standard mileage in year one. Preserve the option. You can always do the actual expenses calculation in future years and pick whichever is bigger, as long as you didn't blow up your eligibility in year one. The other rule that trips people up, and this one shows up in publication 463, is that standard mileage isn't available at all if you operate 5 or more vehicles simultaneously, like a small fleet. If you've grown to that point, congratulations. You're not really a solo freelancer anymore. You're a small business, and actual expenses is your only option. Same goes for vehicles you've claimed Section 179 on, or any vehicle you depreciated using anything other than straight line in a prior year. The form is unforgiving on this. Pick the wrong method, and the IRS will silently accept your return until they don't. Quick word on what counts as a business mile, because this is where audits live. The drive from your home office to a client site? Deductible if your home is your principal place of business, which for most full-time freelancers it is. The drive to the coffee shop because you work from there sometimes? Not deductible. Commuting miles, even for freelancers, are not deductible. And the IRS, in published audit guidance, has been clear that contemporaneous records are what they want, meaning you log the miles when you drive them, not reconstructed from memory in April. I use Mile IQ. There's also Stride, which is free. Pick one, set it, forget it. A reconstructed log is the fastest way to lose this deduction in an audit. One more thing worth knowing if you bought a heavy vehicle. There's a quirk in Section 179 for vehicles over 6,000 pounds gross vehicle weight, the so-called SUV loophole. For 2025, you can expense up to $31,300 of a qualifying heavy SUV in year one under Section 179, per the IRS Inflation-Adjusted Limits and Revenue Procedure 2024-40, with bonus depreciation on top of that at the current phase-down rate of 40% for property placed in service in 2025. That sounds incredible. And for the right freelancer, a contractor hauling equipment, a real estate agent doing high-end staging, it can be. But the moment you take that Section 179 deduction, you are locked into actual expenses forever on that vehicle. And the IRS recapture rules say if your business use drops below 50% in any later year, you have to pay back a chunk of that deduction as ordinary income. I've seen freelancers get a $20,000 deduction in year one, and then owe $8,000 of it back in year three because their freelance income dropped, and they used the car more for personal trips. The loophole has teeth. The big picture, this depends on your specific situation, your filing status, your state, your vehicle, your mileage mix, but the default playbook is the same. Track every business mile starting January 1st. Use an app. At tax time, run both calculations. If you're in year one with the vehicle, lean towards standard mileage unless actual beats it by a wide margin and you're sure you won't keep the car long. If you're past year one and you started with standard mileage, you have the freedom to pick whichever number is bigger each year. Use it. And if you're driving a lot of miles in a modest car, stop overthinking this. The 70-cent rate is doing you a favor. Take it. I focus on the financial side of freelance and gig work, and the single most expensive mistake I see in this category isn't picking the wrong method. It's not tracking miles at all and then guessing in April. Don't guess. The IRS doesn't reward guessing. I'm not a licensed CPA or financial advisor. This is general education for freelancers, not personalized advice. If this saved you from a costly default on your return, hit subscribe. That's how this channel keeps showing up for you. And if there's a specific freelance tax question you want me to break down next, home office, quarterlies, S-Corp election, whatever's bugging you, drop it in the comments and I'll work it into an upcoming script. I mentioned Mile IQ above because it's what I actually use to track business miles. This video may contain affiliate links. I only recommend tools I use personally.